Hi, hello, I'm Sam Harrison. This is Barry, and we read, review, and discuss fantastic books. Today is Friday, and we're here to do the Friday show. So it is nice and early in the AM, and I have a couple of books to talk to you guys about. Every Friday, what we sit down and do is talk about the books that I have read this week, the books that I'm reading next week, and then kind of video plans, other media that I've been consuming, as it were. And that's pretty much it. Sometimes we do like little channel updates and news on like upcoming stuff. And I do have something, I think, to talk about. Like, it's something that you guys are very aware of, but like, kind of confirmed it this week. Let's talk books. So, on Monday afternoon, too late to post my review, unfortunately, I finished Never Flinch by Stephen King. I did consider posting the review on Wednesday, but I knew that for the next book I'm reading, I wanted to have as much time as possible. So I finished Never Flinch. I do think it was excellent. I have one small qualm with it, I guess. So, like, I actually sought out a few other reviewers, and I was really hoping to see a trans person had reviewed this, and I couldn't find any on YouTube. I'm going to record my review directly after I shoot this video, so unfortunately I don't have any more time to look for those reviews. There is a trope that is used in this book, and I was reading it and going like, this makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable, and not in a like, it's horror, you're meant to be uncomfortable kind of way, in a like, I'm not sure that this was the way to go kind of way. Unfortunately, to discuss it in full, you would have to spoil a reveal in the book. So I'm not going to do that here. What I will do is, in the review itself, I will like fully explain the thing with a like spoiler warning. So what I'm probably going to do is like put like a spoiler frame on it, so that if you skip around through the video, you won't see that particular. You'll know when you're in the spoiler section, so you won't accidentally get spoiled, even if you skip around, which you shouldn't. It's bad for the algorithm. But, so yeah, I did really like this book, aside from that one plot point. This is really interesting. It's got kind of like a dual narrative. Not a dual narrative. It has like two mysteries that are overlapping, and eventually come to a head. It is another Holly Gibney book. Holly Gibney, in Stephen's world, mostly is crime thrillers. There are, however, in the Holly Gibney books, there have been some supernatural and horror type threats. So that doesn't really occur here, and it didn't happen in Holly either, despite Holly being quite horrific and quite horror-y. This one is more of a crime thriller. I really like Holly's books. I like the character of Holly a lot. I love her supporting cast a lot. We get a couple of additions to the supporting cast this time, which I really liked. Overall, I just really enjoyed this book. Like I said, I'm going to do a review. I would imagine that most of my review is going to be me saying I really liked it, and then there'll be like the other half, which is me explaining the thing that made me feel a little uncomfortable. We'll talk about that on Monday. So if you're interested in this book and you don't mind that light spoiler, then we will discuss that on the full review. If you are interested in this book and you don't want to have that light spoiler, by the way, it is something that I guessed pretty much straight away. But just to like clarify that if you are extremely spoiler averse, that video, there will be there'll be like a frame around me when I'm doing a spoiler discussion. Hope that makes sense. After Never Flinch, I moved on to Wicked. So my wife and son watched the movie Wicked on the weekend, and I was doing like household chores and stuff, and I just kind of kept overhearing the like dialogue and what was going on, and I was only half listening, but everything that I like caught, I was like, oh, this kind of sounds like a pretty interesting story, like a kind of interesting fantasy story. And I had always assumed that Wicked was like, a lot of musicals are like really heightened stories in like cartoony worlds where someone spontaneously starting to sing makes sense. And that's kind of how musicals have to work, because you have to believe that that is not abnormal or weird. And what I had thought of was, I was like, well, if it's like cartoony and kind of parodying or whatever Wizard of Oz, then I was like, oh, will I actually like this? And I assumed that I wouldn't. And assumptions obviously make an ass out of you and me. And I read the first 3 or 4 chapters of Wicked and I thought, this is pretty good. It wasn't lighting me on fire though, I will say. I was interested in what we had, but it was pretty slow start, to be honest. And I am not sure whether I will go back to it, because I DNF'd it and put it down for Towers of Midnight. So Matt and I finally had the chance this week to talk about The Gathering Storm, which meant that I was able to start Towers of Midnight, and I started it the very next day. I was going to start it that evening, but Matt and I ended up talking for way longer than expected. I've actually read further than this via ebook and audiobook as well. All I've done so far is finished the prologue. So I finished the prologue. I am currently 44 pages into, let's see how many we got here. We have 930. So I still have 900-ish pages to go. However, the prologue was really, really good. The book, I think it helps that the book opens in an extremely strong fashion. So at the very, very beginning of the book, you get a POV from one of my favourite smaller characters. They're like a main cast character, but like probably of the main cast, the one that gets the least page time. And also the one that was like really involved in one of my favourite scenes in the series. And because of that, the book started off in a really, really strong way. I know that this book, I don't know much about this book apart from the fact that it's called Towers of Midnight, and I know which characters are going to the Towers of Midnight. So I'm kind of assuming that because that's the name of the book, that's who the majority of POVs are going to be about. Because it tends to be the way in these books that they'll be like, each book will have like one character that is the main character. Like last book it was Egwene, very clearly. This book I feel like it might be Matt, although we haven't had any Matt or like Matt adjacent characters in the prologue. I'm really excited to be back in the world of the Wheel of Time. It feels like it's been ages since I read the last one, because I read it so quickly. Normally it takes me between 1 and 2 weeks to read the books, but I think I read it in like 5 or 6 days. And yeah, really excited to be back in the world. I can't say much because I've only read 44 pages, but I will say that I absolutely loved the prologue. Really chuffed with this physical edition too. It's just really nice and floppy and lovely to read. I really like these editions of the Wheel of Time books. I have them all in this edition, so obviously I like them. Maybe one day I'll collect the hardcovers when I have some more bookshelf storage space, but for now this feels like the best way to kind of collect. I've got tons of reading time coming up. So I have work events next week that I need to drive to, 2 of them. I have my long run on Sunday. Well, long story short, I have a long run on Sunday. I have a walk tomorrow. So yeah, I'm optimistic that this will get read quickly. And I mean, it does not hurt the fact that I love this series and that I really enjoy reading it. I haven't found the writing style to be as Sanderson as I was expecting. So like with Sanderson books, I can read 200-300 pages in a day, like without any issues. Like I don't feel tired, don't get worn out. Because I've just read so many of his books and because his prose is so accessible, I find I can read him really, really quickly. But because he's kind of approximating Jordan here, whether he says he is trying to or not, he is approximating Jordan. I do read this at roughly the same speed I read Robert Jordan. So I was expecting to blast through these, but I'm still reading them quick, but a lot of that is because of Sanderson's like pace of storytelling rather than like the prose. Again, can't say too much about this one. I can tell you that the Gathering Storm full spoiler discussion was a really good one with Matt, and it will be up live next Wednesday. So while we're on the topic of next week's videos, let's just talk about it. So next week I will have on Monday the Never Flinch review, which I'm going to record in a second. We've talked about already. Then on Wednesday will be the full spoiler discussion for Gathering Storm. The week afterwards, ideally, I will have finished Towns of Midnight and you'll have a review for that. If I haven't, then there will be nothing the following Monday. The following Wednesday will be the June recap. I'm thinking about doing a half one, like favourite books of half one 2025. If you'd be interested in that, drop down in the comments below and let me know. Tell me also what your favourite books of half one 2025 are. I'm always really interested to hear what other people are loving, because I want to make sure that I'm reading the best possible books with my time. But that's pretty much it for the channel. We're really ticking along nicely over here. We did hit 1,500 subs a couple of weeks ago or a week ago. I can't really remember when. We did hit 1,500 subs. So thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed. And especially if you are watching this video, which is like, this video is like the most for subscribers of all of my videos. Because this video is like very specifically like what I am up to and very much gives you a bit of a peek behind the curtain on my like reading plans and my video plans and all that sort of stuff. While we're here for the fans, I feel like I can now officially announce, having discussed it with Matt, that we will be reading Gardens of the Moon, and the plan is to read it in August. So if you are a Malazan fan, hold up, we've got the juice for you. We have Gardens of the Moon in August. In an ideal world, Deadhouse Gate in September. The thing that I am considering though, is that in September I would like to do Self-Pub September again. And because I want to do Self-Pub September, I may end up delaying Malazan Book 2, or like in a mad world where I love where I love Gardens of the Moon, I might try and read Deadhouse Gate at the very end of August, so that September can truly be that focus on self-published books. In terms of what I'm planning to read in Self-Pub September, pretty certain we're going to have a new Hybrid Helix book out by then. I'm sure Joe has said it's due out very soon. I know that we will have the new Dan book in September. That will be out. I think it's called Whispers of Darkness or something about darkness. All right, I'm really bad at remembering these things and my phone is recording this video so I can't look it up. Am I sat next to multiple computers? Yes. Will I stand up? No. Also, I have the prequel, that's the right term that I was looking for, to Overlord called, to Soul Stealer called Overlord. I loved Soul Stealer, so I would like to read Overlord, and Self-Pub September feels like a good time. Other self-published stuff, if I look at my shelf, I actually don't have a ton of it. I really wanted to read, and have wanted to read for ages, Andy Pelequin's books. I think the first book is called like Dark Blade or something like that. So yeah, I've been curious to read that one. And I've also wanted to read Philip C. Quaintrell's Echoes saga, because I do really like classic fantasy. So like proper like swords and sorcery, elves and dwarves, the kind of thing that you see in The Bound and the Broken, for example. I really like that style of classic fantasy, and I feel like there's very, very little of it actually around. So yeah, those are kind of on the table for September. I think that Hybrid Helix will be my token sci-fi, and the rest will probably just be fantasy. So yeah, that's a very, very far looking what I'm thinking of reading. I hope that you guys are enjoying the content that's been going out this year. I know I've missed more episodes than I kind of originally planned to. Back in January, I made a commitment that I would not rush a book or rush a video to get it out on Review Mondays, and I wouldn't just fart out an idea on a Wednesday. I would always try to make sure that my Wednesday videos were like valuable and interesting. And I do hope that that is actually how everyone feels. I did forget to say this, but I've now had the book's Palmer for like 4 or 5 months, and I am ready to do my long-term review on this one. So if you have been away from the channel for a while or joined the channel recently, what I do with e-readers is when I buy them, I'll do like an initial impressions video, and then once I've had them for at least 4 months, I will do a long-term review. So that then covers like how I've used the device over those 4 months and gives me time to find the problems, but also to work out whether there are solutions to those problems. You know, I think that 4 months is about the amount of time where you can really say how you feel about a piece of tech. So that's why my like official reviews are long-term reviews. They come 4 months later. And yeah, I think that I'll be reviewing this one in like a few weeks' time. So what I'm going to do basically is just wait for there to be a gap in the schedule, and then I'll record this. So I'm already ready to make the review, but I don't want to like post an extra video or anything like that, because then when in a few weeks' time I don't have an idea for that week's Wednesday video, it'll be a bit silly to have posted this one early. And I do have plans for the next 2, as we've already discussed. I'm probably going to do some self-published book focused reviews at some point soon. I would also like to catch up on the Sun Eater and the Red Rising series. So with Red Rising, there's 3 books. With Sun Eater, there's 3 books as well. I don't know when I will get to those. I've heard that the next Red Rising book, Iron Gold, so that's the next one I haven't read. The next one is quite rough. So don't know when I want to read a book that is quite rough. But it's been overdue for a while. October this year, I would like to read lots of horror. So I already have a couple of books in mind, and I want to pick up at least one more Stephen King, probably. So yeah, October I'd like to read some horror. We'll talk about that when we come to it. Hopefully I don't forget that I want to read loads of horror in October. That's currently the plan. Also, I think that's everything. That's everything about like future plans. It's quite a lot more future than I normally go into on the channel. Normally each week I'll just do what's up next week, but feels like time to go long. You can probably hear Alice crying. I want to assure you that my wife is just washing her face. She's very averse to having her face washed, because it's just after her lunchtime, so she's probably covered in food. Anyway, that's probably everything. I don't think I've played any games or like watched any films or TV this week. It's been busy, I'll be honest with you. Life has really been lifing, and I've mostly spent my time reading and watching YouTube. So yeah, I hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please do give it a like, because that tells YouTube that you liked this video. I also want to mention that nobody has brought up the extremely funny joke that I put in at the end of my bookshelf tour video, so that means that none of you have watched it to the end. Shame on you. Comment down below, tell me what you're reading this weekend, what you've been up to, anything you want to chat about, really. And then subscribe if you haven't, especially if you've got all the way to the end of this one. Thanks so much for watching, and I will speak to you on Monday.